And concluding with India's firm message on terrorism, the Indian envoy said there must be zero tolerance for terrorism and India will never bow to nuclear threats.
Where terrorism is concerned, we are making it clear that there will be no distinction between the terrorists and their sponsors. Both will be held accountable. Nor will we allow terrorism to be practiced under the cover of a nuclear blackmail. India will never bow to such threats. India's message to the world is clear. There must be zero tolerance for terrorism.
All right, we are joined by DD India's Akshay Dongre to talk more on this. Akshay, India reiterates its red lines against terrorism, no distinction between terrorists and their sponsors. Tell us, how is India reinforcing this position at the UN?
Well, that statement in itself is a reinforcement, Abhishek, because we have in black and white said that there will be no red lines, which means that it's not just the ground workers who are holding the guns and killing the people who are responsible or who are terrorists. It's also the people who are funding them, who are giving them the guns, who are putting all of this indoctrination in their head. So that is one thing as far as the situation is concerned, and the statement that has been given by the Indian side that there will be no differentiation made when it comes to the ones who are killing people and the ones who are enabling them. So that is a very stern message to the people and to the state actors as well as non-state actors both at the same time. So any kind of terror activity will not be seen only being executed by the terrorists on the ground, but also the terrorists who are funding them, who are protecting them, who are harboring them, who are making them fundamentalist. The terror infrastructure comprises in all of them, and that is what India had demonstrated during the strikes inside Pakistan and POK. That it's not just the terrorists who will be killed if there is a terror attack, but the terror infrastructure will be demolished. So in a way, it's once again a message to the enablers of terrorism that includes the state of Pakistan and the Pakistani military along with the intelligence that has been protecting these terror groups. So if there is a terror attack and of the past terror attacks, it's not just the terrorists who are responsible for this, but also the state and non-state actors. Back to you.
Right. Also, Akshay, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar makes a case for multilateralism and platforms like BRICS ahead of his address at the UNGA. What message is India sending through this?
Well, there was a meeting, Abhishek, between the foreign ministers of the BRICS nations that was hosted by Dr. S. Jaishankar. And in that meeting, one thing was reiterated, and that was a meeting that was taking place on the sidelines of the UNGA, that multilateralism is the way forward. India has been a party that has always echoed the voice of diplomacy, the dialogue. Even after the independence, when India was not such a big economy, even at that time we took a stand and we started the entire non-alignment movement along with a few other countries that in fact grew to a much larger bloc than either the NATO or the Warsaw Pact. That was the Soviet and the American blocs. The NAM bloc was much bigger when it comes to the number of countries that had participated. So, India is speaking the voice of the global south. India is speaking the voice of development of these countries that are hit the first in case there is a conflict that escalates anywhere in the world. For example, the conflict in the Middle East or in between Russia and Ukraine. The countries who get hit first were the global south countries, but the developing world or the underdeveloped countries. In terms of food security, in terms of other things, in terms of energy supplies. India has once again echoed the voice of sense. It has echoed the voice of peace and the voice of global south as well. That multilateralism will take the world forward in terms of development, and making blocks, dividing the world into fragments is only going to wreak havoc and destruction on the world.
Also, Akshay, last question before we leave you. If you look at the broader picture, bigger picture, what are India's key priorities at the 80th session of the UN General Assembly?
Well, first of all, is clearly, as it has been mentioned, terrorism is a threat to the entire humanity. It's a threat to world peace. It's a threat. In fact, there are several conflicts that have started because of terrorism. If you look at the current, incident of Hamas attack on Israel, that has led to a conflict that has killed so many innocent Palestinians and Israelis. That is one thing. Second is obviously the repercussions of the wars that is being faced by the global south, and the issues that the countries are facing in the global south. Like climate change, that is a separate thing. However, that's also on the agenda. But when it comes to war, it's food security, energy supplies, energy security, lives of the innocent. Medical supplies, free flow of these basic necessities that has been disrupted by the war. So that also becomes one of the key priority. So it's terrorism, it's climate change, it's the ongoing conflicts, and it's peace that is the priority for India, even at this point. Despite facing so much threats and so many terror attacks by the world, India still echoes the voice of peace and sensibility.
Absolutely. All right, Akshay, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for your inputs.